James David Vance, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
In a moment that stunned the nation, Senator J.D. Vance was unexpectedly removed from a private meeting at the White House. The scene, described by insiders as tense and emotionally charged, marked a dramatic fall from grace for a man once considered a rising star within the Republican Party. Vance, known for his best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, had built his political image around standing up for working-class Americans, particularly in rural communities. But on that day, under the bright lights of Washington, D.C., the tables turned. Eyewitnesses reported that Vance left the meeting visibly shaken. Moments later, he appeared on social media, eyes red, voice trembling, announcing his resignation from the U.S. Senate. The video quickly went viral, resonating with millions, especially older Americans who had long seen Vance as a voice for forgotten values. His words were heartfelt. "I can no longer be part of a system that's broken." For many, especially retirees and veterans who had followed Vance's journey, the moment was personal. It was a reminder that even those who vow to serve with integrity can be cast aside when politics become too bitter, too divided. And in that painful goodbye, some saw a reflection of their own disillusionment with modern leadership. Welcome back to our channel. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. Beneath the surface of J.D. Vance's emotional exit from the White House lies a deeper story of power, ambition, and betrayal. Once embraced by the conservative establishment, Vance had carved out a reputation as a man of principle, someone who could connect with working-class Americans from Appalachia to the Midwest. His alignment with former President Donald Trump initially gave him political momentum, helping him rise through the ranks of the Republican Party. But as time went on, Vance wanted more control, more visibility, more say in shaping the direction of the country. That ambition, however, came at a cost. Vance's growing demands and increasingly public push for influence began to rattle others within Trump's inner circle. Trusted advisors and long-standing power brokers saw him as a threat. They began to quietly sideline him, denying him the voice he believed he had earned. What was once a strong alliance gradually turned cold. According to sources, the breaking point came during a private meeting where Vance tried to leverage his popularity to gain a more prominent role. Instead of the support he anticipated, he was met with firm resistance. In a stunning twist, he was asked to leave, his aspirations dismissed in front of the very people who once championed him. For older Americans who've witnessed political power struggles over decades, Vance's downfall is familiar. It's a reminder that in Washington, loyalty is fleeting, and ambition often leads to isolation. The halls of power are not always kind to those who challenge the status quo, no matter how noble their intentions may seem. The turning point came swiftly, and it caught the entire nation off guard. Just hours after being escorted from the White House, J.D. Vance posted a somber video on social media. His eyes were tired, his voice wavered, and his words cut deep. "This was never the plan," he said quietly. "I wanted to serve the people, but I can't do that in a system that refuses to change." With that, he announced his resignation from the U.S. Senate, a move that sent shockwaves through both political parties and the American public. For many older Americans, especially veterans and those who've lived through decades of political change, Vance's message struck a chord. It wasn't just about one man leaving office. It was about frustration with a system that often feels too distant, too broken. Vance's decision to step down was not driven by scandal or defeat in the polls, but by disillusionment. He believed the very institutions he had once trusted were now working against the people they claimed to serve. To some, his resignation was a failure. To others, it was an act of courage, a refusal to play along with the political theater. Either way, it marked a defining moment in modern politics, and for many watching, it felt like the end of an era, and maybe the beginning of something new. In the days following his resignation, J.D. Vance disappeared from the spotlight, but not for long. Quietly, behind closed doors and away from the cameras, he began building something new. No longer bound by party politics or Senate procedures, Vance was now free to chart his own course. What emerged was the early blueprint for a bold new political movement, one that aimed to speak directly to the millions of Americans who felt abandoned by both the left and the right. This wasn't a return to traditional politics. Instead, Vance began assembling a coalition of everyday Americans, small business owners, veterans, factory workers, and young families, many of whom felt ignored by Washington for far too long. He also attracted unconventional allies, grassroots activists, independent journalists, and voices from social media who shared his frustration with the status quo. Vance's vision was rooted in classic American values: hard work, self-reliance, faith, and family, but updated for a nation in crisis. He promised to fight for local economies, defend working-class communities, and protect the dignity of those who felt left behind by globalization and elite interests. For older Americans who've seen political movements come and go, Vance's message felt familiar, yet urgent. It echoed past calls for reform, but with a sharper edge, a defiance that resonated deeply. While the media speculated whether his movement could last, one thing was clear: J.D. Vance wasn't fading quietly. He was preparing for a new kind of political fight, one not waged in the halls of Congress, but in town halls, union halls, and kitchen tables across the heartland. Just as J.D. Vance's new political movement began gaining traction, an unexpected challenger stepped into the spotlight: Elon Musk. Known more for launching rockets and electric vehicles than for political activism, Musk's entry into the national conversation changed everything. With his massive following, vast resources, and reputation for shaking up industries, Musk wasn't content to sit on the sidelines. He made it clear he had his own vision for America's future, and it didn't align with Vance's. Rather than back a traditional party, Musk announced plans for a new political platform centered around innovation, free enterprise, and the rejection of ideological labels. He argued that the left and right had failed America, and the path forward lay in technology, entrepreneurship, and creative thinking. It was a message that resonated with many younger voters and disaffected moderates, but it also raised alarms for those wary of billionaire influence in democracy. For Vance, Musk's move was more than competition; it was a direct threat. The two began clashing publicly, trading sharp words online. Musk called Vance's rhetoric outdated and divisive. Vance accused Musk of being out of touch with everyday Americans. To older Americans watching, it felt like a collision of two worlds. One rooted in tradition and working-class values, the other chasing a future driven by technology and disruption. The stakes were growing by the day. Vance's populist message and Musk's futurist platform weren't just competing ideas. They were opposing visions for what America could become. And in that battle, the soul of the country felt like it was on the line. Just when J.D. Vance's movement seemed to be finding its footing, a devastating blow came from within. Steve Smith, Vance's closest advisor and longtime political strategist, publicly defected to Elon Musk's rising platform. For months, Smith had been the architect behind Vance's message, shaping speeches, organizing rallies, and helping craft a vision that appealed to everyday Americans. His departure wasn't just unexpected, it felt like a betrayal. In a press statement, Smith praised Musk's forward-thinking approach, calling it the future of American politics, while dismissing Vance's populist platform as divisive and outdated. The move stunned supporters, especially older Americans who had placed trust in the idea that Vance's team shared his values. Many viewed Smith as a steady hand, someone who understood the needs of working-class families and retirees alike. The impact was immediate. Media outlets ran headlines about internal collapse, and rumors swirled that other members of Vance's team might follow. For a movement built on loyalty, trust, and a shared sense of purpose, Smith's exit shook the foundation. For those who had lived through decades of political betrayal, the moment was all too familiar. It served as a painful reminder that in the world of politics, alliances can shift overnight, and even the most promising visions can falter when loyalty fades. With J.D. Vance's movement in disarray and key allies turning away, Elon Musk delivered a final, unexpected blow. In a public announcement that stunned political watchers, Musk extended an open invitation to Vance, offering him a prominent role within his new, tech-driven political platform. The offer was generous, even flattering. Musk promised influence, visibility, and a fresh path forward, but accepting it would come at a steep price. For Vance, the decision was agonizing. Joining Musk meant abandoning the populist ideals he had built his reputation on, ideals rooted in community, tradition, and defending the working class. It would also mean surrendering to a movement driven by Silicon Valley, far from the heartland values that shaped his message. Many older Americans, watching closely, recognized the weight of this moment. It wasn't just political maneuvering, it was a test of character. Would Vance cling to his vision, even as the odds stacked against him? Or would he compromise, choosing power over principle? In a time when loyalty and conviction often seem negotiable, Vance's choice carried symbolic meaning. For those who had seen leaders rise and fall before, the moment felt familiar. It raised a timeless question. What is a leader without the values that first gave him a voice? As the dust settles, one question remains. What's next for J.D. Vance and for American politics as a whole? His fall from the national stage, marked by betrayal and internal collapse, has left many wondering if there's a path forward. Can a man who once inspired millions rise again, or has the political machine claimed another casualty? For older Americans who've seen political tides shift over decades, Vance's story feels both personal and symbolic. It reflects a nation divided, searching for identity in an age of noise and change. His departure from the Senate wasn't just the end of a campaign. It was a mirror to the frustrations many feel with a system that often forgets those outside the spotlight. Meanwhile, Elon Musk's rising influence suggests that politics is entering unfamiliar territory, where billionaires, not public servants, shape the agenda. That shift raises serious questions about representation, integrity, and the future of democracy. Vance may return, or he may fade into history, but his rise and fall have already left a mark. For many, especially those who've watched generations of leaders come and go, his story is a reminder that political change is never simple and never without cost. Do you believe J.D. Vance made the right decision in resigning from the Senate? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this ongoing story. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.